Good morning, you guys. Monday morning
Yeah.
Pilates. So we'll be doing that class, and we're going to start on the floor in the most relaxed position possible. So that means we'll be lying down. Before you get too comfortable, make sure that you have something to use for your inner thighs. It could be a rolled up towel if you don't have a ball or a yoga block. And you're going to want some weights maybe for your hands, and you can use cans of soup, whatever. And then we'll lie down. I also like to have a blanket for my head. It's not a bad idea. Um, just don't snooze off when you lie down. We were meeting an hour earlier today, so might be a little sleepy. All right, on our backs. You can use the block or not between the inner thighs. We'll not make it mandatory until a little bit later. But if it's helpful, you can put it in place. Do a little bit of shifting around through the pelvis. So your knees are bent, and you can have the spacing of the feet be what they need to be for your hips to be comfortable. Just get a little shifting around and relax the muscles that surround your tailbone. As you relax that contact point with the ground, allow the front of the hips to soften and the weight of the pelvis to fall toward the ground, away from the thighs, lengthening down out of the lower part of your waist. The weight of your legs is going to rest in your feet. If you're not holding a block, you can even let the knees kind of drop together. Lower body comfortably heavy into ground. Have a breath in, and then sigh, and really release any tension, not only from the chest and throat, but also from the muscles underneath the shoulder blades. Sometimes if you're chronically tight there, you'll have a sort of chronic extension through the lower rib cage. And we'll let that soften and melt back as well, while preserving our lumbar curve. Chest and shoulders open and relaxed. You don't have to press the shoulders back. Simply let them fall away from the center of your chest. Gaze is forward and relaxed. And you might place your hands on your low belly. Breathe in through the nose. And then out through the mouth. Keep that going, inhaling through the nose. And exhaling through the mouth. And remind yourself as you continue that all the muscles, all the breathing apparatus is located in your belly between the respiratory diaphragm at the bottom of the ribs, which functions on your inhale. Feel it contracting downward, flattening outward. And then pelvic floor and transversus, which function to both support and encourage the exhale. Keep your Kegel. Inhale downward. Bottom of the side ribs lightly opening outward. And then from the grounding of Kegel, exhale in an upward or headwise direction. And feel the sides of the waist gently snugging inward. The waist itself long and the posture steady. 3 more rounds of breath. Inhale through the nose. Check that your Kegel is in place, and from that grounding point, exhale upward through the mouth. Feel a trail of connection and support left behind that exhale breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhaling, steady stream of breath out. And 1 more, please. Continuing with imprint and release, it's a movement of the low spine. And because the low spine is connected to your pelvis, both of those structures are going to work harmoniously in this action. We'll inhale through the nose, connecting through core is our foundation. And as we exhale and find that connection, we'll draw the low spine toward the mat, perhaps flattening it, with the action of the low belly muscles. Release this imprint on your inhale. And resume it as you exhale. Releasing on inhale. And continue through 4 more repetitions of imprint and release. Working the low abdominal muscles to move the low spine. Letting that contraction soften, but preserving core as you return to neutral. Softening the creases of the hips, so as the low spine flexes, the pelvis can move comfortably with that changing posture. You're probably on your last round, imprinting and releasing one more time. When you've returned to neutral, go ahead and with your head resting on the ground, turn it from one side to the other. Take your time, there's no specific breath associated with this. Remind the muscles at the sides and the back of the neck that you can be relaxed and still retain breath. And then return the head to center, and we essentially do imprint through the cervical spine or the spine behind your neck. We'll use the opposite pattern of breathing though. So prepare for this action by simply exhaling and engaging your core. Core engaged without immobilizing the neck. Now we're free to inhale and draw the chin downward. The throat is still long, but the muscles that line your larynx essentially are working. And then exhale, release the head nod. Inhale, tilt the chin downward, staying soft at the back and sides of the neck. And exhale, release. We'll only do 2 more of these. It should feel good. Don't feel like you need to exaggerate the stretch by straining the shoulders or the chest. And 1 more. Inhale, nod. And exhale, release the nod. Now here, next, 2 things. If your head mat or pillow is high, you might want to lower it down a little bit or remove it completely. We're going into hip rolls, so the other thing is we want to make sure that we have inner thigh connection and leg alignment. So I like to put a block between my knees. Some people prefer between the ankles. Either position is good. Keeping soft and relaxed in the neck and the shoulders. Find the connection or the grounding through the soles of the feet. Become aware again of your lower body. Inhale here in neutral. Begin with your Kegel and start to squeeze the block from the line of the inner thighs as you exhale and move through your imprint and maybe past. We're going to lift the spine a vertebra at a time from the ground, peeling it off as we work through all of the joints. Coming up, and if you run out of breath, pause, inhale where you are, exhale to continue until you're resting on the bottom of the feet and the back of the shoulders. Not the back of the neck, but the back of the shoulders and shoulder blades for sure. Inhale here, feel that your weight is dropping vertically through the lower legs into the feet, and then exhale and roll down. A good opportunity to relax the back of the neck and remind yourself that core support is not the same as spinal tension. When you've returned to neutral at the bottom, again, take your awareness to your feet, the back of your legs and hips, Kegel squeeze the block, and exhale, roll it up. Pelvis moving with the spine without resistance in the hips. Eventually, the same thing applies to the shoulders. The ribs move with the spine without any fighting with the muscles around the shoulder joints. At the top, relax your gaze. Put your weight again over your feet. Kegel, squeeze your block. And exhale, roll it down. Allow your body weight to fall into the ground, albeit in a controlled way. We have one more to do. In your inhale at the bottom, in your neutral, remind yourself that your center is in your pelvis. And from that point, you'll Kegel, you'll squeeze the inner thighs and roll up on exhale. Inhaling at the top, it's a good place to soften tension from the jaws. And then exhale with your Kegel and your lower body engaged. Roll down, articulating through the spine, stretching through the muscles of the back, and targeting core muscles deep inside the bowl of the pelvis. Once you're down, you've returned all the way to neutral. Relax the work of the legs. Place your hands behind the back of your head and hold steady in your core. We're going to exhale here. Make sure we've got the Kegel and the light activation of inner thighs. Now relaxing the back of the neck. Inhale, nod the chin downward. Exhale rises up from the base of the pelvis. And when it passes through the bottom of the ribs, you begin to bend forward. Inhale at the top of that forward bend. And then exhale. And lower down. Now the timing of the breath and that movement has a great deal to do with how comfortable it is. Inhale, nod the head. Start your exhale first. And then bend as the respiratory diaphragm relaxes and you get firmer connection in your center. Inhale at the top. Exhale. And lower back down. And over the space of 4 more repetitions, pardon me, continue to find the correct timing for you with regard to core connection and movement. Last couple of repetitions. And I promise you that once you start to find the efficiency of that timing that I'm speaking about, then you will also be able to find more precise work, and it gets harder for the correct muscles in the right way. One last repetition, please. Once you've lowered from this last ab prep, that forward bend, put the block that you have between your feet or knees off to the side and hug your knees in towards your chest. Yeah, so you've got the knees hugging in. You can do any movements that feel nice for your low spine and your hips, maybe even for your shoulders. So when you hug the knees in, try not to shrug your shoulders up into your ears, but holding firm with your arm muscles, connect to the bottom of the shoulder blades. Find a centered position here, and maybe before you release the legs, notice where your weights are if you're going to use them for arm reaches. And you'll notice that you've got a pretty natural imprint or lengthened low spine as you hug the legs in. We're going to leverage that pre-existing position. Kegel. Exhale, squeeze the thighs together. Feel the co-contraction in the low abs. And without releasing imprint, place your legs in tabletop. Once the legs are there, 90 degrees at the hips, 90 degrees at the knees, inhale, pull the toes back towards your nose. Kegel, squeeze the inner thighs, and exhale, point through the ankles, the arches, and the ends of your toes. Extend your arms forward to the ceiling. Now, you don't have to use weights for this, but this is a place where you can if you want to. And we're going to start with triceps work, elbow extension. So with the arms forward toward the ceiling, contract the muscles between the shoulder blades and then relax. That'll move the shoulders forward and back. Find the sweet spot where they're balanced. Exhale right where you are, getting your Kegel, releasing your neck as you engage your legs and your core. And on your inhale breath, bend your elbows. Your hands are going to drop back by your shoulders. Try to keep the arms parallel. Kegel, exhale, and extend through the elbows. Continue this. We'll do 5 total. Slowly bending. Kegel, exhale. Working on the timing of breath connection to movement. Extend. You'll continue through your set of 5. Try to keep the muscles around the eyes relaxed. Squeeze your forearms and your fists, but not your neck and shoulder tops. 1 more. Kegel, exhale, dig deep into your core, your inner thighs, the length and support through sides of the waist. And once you've extended those elbows, keep the triceps active. We'll inhale and reach the arms back at this point, now extending from the shoulders. Kegel, exhale, and return. We'll do 5 of these. Inhaling as you reach into extension. And again, as you exhale and engage your core, you're not only returning with the arms, but you're finding support through the midsection. For a long time, I was only aware of that through like the 6-pack area of the abs. It's a fine place to work, right? But be aware that your core muscle, your transversus, is actually muscle, or actually is a muscle whose fibers wrap around your waist. Let's say that. So feeling this in the sides of the waist as length and work is a pretty good way to ensure that you're engaging your core. Put your weights down, hands behind the head. Nod your chin to your chest. And then exhale and bend forward. Hold at the top, very lightly supporting the head. And on your exhale breath, extend one leg away. Bend on inhale. Pardon me, and exhale, extend the other leg. Inhale, bend. Continue twice more across the sides. Exhale, lower your head. Keep your imprint and exhale, lower 1 foot at a time to the mat. Once the feet are down, inhale, release to neutral. And exhale, stretch out long if you like. Pull your toes up and down a couple of times. Inhale, flexing the toes back toward the nose, and exhale, pointing the toes away. You'll get this little rocking on the heels that goes all the way up. And then swish the feet. side to side. I always lose my voice this time of year, you guys. Sorry, spring allergies. Once you've rocked your feet side to side, we're going to bend the knees again and roll over onto the side with or without the weights and do some spinal rotation. Something between the knees is optional, and you probably want a little extra cushion under your head. Hips and shoulders are stacked. The arms are in front. And you're going to track your top arm with your gaze. It's just a way of saying that when you inhale and lift the top arm and you're turning your head, you're going to start in the top of the spine, continuing on your exhale into a rotation that continues down your length. Hold that open rotation, inhaling, Kegel, exhale, and return. Inhale, lift the top arm and turn the head, and feel how that initiates the rest of the rotation as it travels down the length of your spine. It should feel coordinated and connected. Inhale, Kegel. Now exhale, start at the bottom of the waist and return. That same integrated movement. Please do 2 more rotations, inhaling to lift the head and exhaling to open through the length of your spine. Feel that firmness in the waist is also stretchy and elastic. Inhale, holding the open rotation. You know what to do. You Kegel, you squeeze the inner thighs and return stretchy and strong through your midsection, inside and out. One more from this side, please. Good. Once you've returned from this last repetition, roll to your second side. And set it up in the same way. Open the chest, prepare with an exhale, setting the tone of your support. And then when you're ready, inhale, turn the head as you lift the arm. Feel how this movement continues down your length as you exhale and open into twist. Nice and steady here. So the pelvis isn't shifting, the legs are firm. And then Kegel, exhale, and return. We have 4 repetitions. And that stability of the lower body is important. It's a spinal rotation, not a hip rotation, not a pelvic rotation. So we don't want our pelvic calves twisting off of each other. Last 2 repetitions. Engaging pelvic floor along with inner thighs helps in the stabilization of your sacrum. So if you're someone who's got a little bit of hypermobility in that area, engaging those 2 muscle sets along with core will help. Good. Returning from our last rotation, our last repetition. Once you finish your last one, roll over onto your belly, getting rid of the block or whatever's between your knees and getting rid of the weights if you're using them. We're going to do breaststroke prep number 1. And so we're lying on our belly and we've got our arms in this sort of hands up position near the shoulders. A little higher, probably a little wider, depending on the length of your arms. What we don't want to do is have, again, that shruggingness, that closed offness through the shoulder girdle. We want a good continuation of our spinal line. Legs are together though, so the inner thighs and pelvic floor function in the same way, really for the same purpose. So we're stabilizing our sacrum, our lower spine. Inhale here, point through your toes. Exhale, draw the inner thighs together, and as you Kegel and breathe out, unshrug the shoulders so much that you begin to extend forward and upward through the top of the chest. Coming up to the bottom of the rib cage, if you can. Inhale at the top, keeping the pubic bones on the ground. And then Kegel, exhale, and roll it back down. Again, prepare with a breath in, pointing the toes, engaging the legs, and stretching through the waist and the hips. From your Kegel, exhale upward, feel the sides of the waist stretching and firming as you begin to extend through the upper back. Feel the shoulder blades moving down toward the bottom points. Inhale and exhale, return. With my hands, I'm sort of mimicking the action of the shoulder blades. One more time, please. Prepare with a breath in. Stretching through your legs, rooting into your core. Exhale, glide the shoulder blades toward the middle back, using the middle back muscles, releasing and opening across the top of the neck and shoulders. Inhale, and then exhale and return. Bring your arms by your sides and reconnect into your legs. We're going to continue into dart. The extension will probably not be as high, but the support system is the same. From the ground, on your inhale breath, pick up the arms along your sides, aligning them in that neutral place. Stretch through your elbows and fingertips, and then exhale and begin to reach forward and upward through the top of your chest, lifting a little away from ground, using the muscles in your middle back. Inhale and exhale to lower. Continue, inhale, picking up the arms, and then exhale, stretching forward and upward into extension, reaching the top of the crown away from the point of the feet. Inhale here, lengthen your tail down the back of your legs, and exhale, lower. And one more repetition, please. Practice in setting the shoulders, connecting to your core while you exhale and strengthen the middle back muscles. At the top, inhaling, and then focusing on stability in your center. Exhale and lower down. When you've returned from your last extension, sit back into a shell stretch. It's like a child's pose, but it's kind of halfway up. So you're really distributing the curve more through the spine and less through just the hips. Turn your head no, shake it yes. And then come to hands and knees. We'll continue here with a little bit of knee hover. It's a great shoulder stabilizer. Very often we do this later on in the workout. You can use a block or something between the knees if that connection is helpful core-wise. And we'll start with a little bit of shoulder orientation. So once you're on your hands and knees, allow your ribs to drop forward and draw back a couple of times, yeah? Inhale, let the ribs drop forward. The shoulders will move back relative to the rib cage and head. And then exhale, lift the ribs back and push the arms and shoulders forward. One more, inhale. And now exhale, just find that neutral place in the middle where the ribs are in the line of the pelvis and the waist and the shoulders are along that mid-neutral point. Your gaze is now forward, just between and past the top of your fingers. Squeeze the knees together around the block. Make sure that your weight is over your legs as well as over your arms. And on your exhale breath, as you squeeze the block and Kegel, lift your knees just an inch or so. Inhale here, Kegel. Exhale, and lower the knees gently to ground. We do two more. Prepare with a breath in. Kegel. Exhale. Find the timing that works as you lift the knees to a hover. Inhale here, strong and supported through the shoulders, long and supple through the neck. Exhale and lower. Now the last one. We're going to make it a little fancy. So prepare with a breath in. Exhale and lift the knees. Take a breath at the top, and on this exhale, instead of lowering all the way down, simply lower halfway down. You can almost feel the mat under your knees, almost. And then exhale, lower all the way. Take the block out, and you can sit back again into another shell stretch, or you can sit back on your heels, come a little higher. Kind of depends on where you need the opening. And then go ahead and roll up and sit up for a moment. I'm going to get my feet out from underneath me because we're going to sit and just do a little bit of wrist stretching. So start by making fists and just make little circles. And you sit in the way that's most comfortable. Go the other way as well. And then clasp your hands together and make a figure eight. Clasp your hands the other way. Start to make a figure eight, but then reverse it. It's a sneaky way of getting you to do the opposite thing. Well, maybe not so sneaky. I'm a terrible card player. All right, shake your hands out. We'll stay sitting, and we'll actually not only do our half roll back here, but we'll start by doing our 100 here. So very often we do the 100 in tabletop. Today we're going to do the 100 in a half roll back position, which should mimic the tabletop flexed forward shape of our spine. So to that end, if your hips are a little tight, you can sit on a blanket. Truthfully, you can sit on a stool or a chair, so you can get as high as you need to get hip tension out of the picture. Okay, so I'm going to put my blanket underneath. Block between the feet or the knees. So I'm going to try between the feet now. And just sit for a moment and see if you can feel the weight of the pelvis resting to ground, very much returning to first principles. Can I use the ground profitably? From that grounding point externally, can I find my pelvic floor connection and feel supportive ground traveling up the length of my spine? Once you've got that, extend your arms forward. And again, do that little orientation exercise with the shoulders. Just once, keeping the fingertips stretched. Bend your elbows 90 degrees. And connect through the back of your arms. It'll be mostly isometric, but still important as you set their length for the rollback for the 100 exercise. Now finally, Kegel. Exhale and make your imprint. Lengthening and flexing the low spine into its curved shape. And then one more thing, connect through the bottom of the side ribs into the midline and bring the top of your chest and center of your face forward an inch. Now continue. Inhale, pulsing the arms 5 times. And exhale, pulsing the arms 5 times. As you continue, this should be almost exclusively about the breath. I mean, secondarily shoulder support and the spinal posture, yeah, for sure. But because we're mostly upright, there's less gravity drag on the spine if we're in the correct posture, and we can feel the importance of core, pelvic floor, transversus, even the diaphragm as you inhale into the bottom of the side ribs rather than up into the top of your neck. In our last half, probably our last couple of sets here. No bouncing or jerking through the head and shoulders. When you're done, inhale and then exhale and roll up. Good. Okay. If you're seated on a blanket, go ahead and put it off to the side. You can even put it back behind you in place where you think your head's going to go. We're going to do half roll back and eventually work it into our roll down and roll up. So instead of having these bent like we traditionally do, I'd like you to stretch your legs long. Look, I got big feet. I'm going to sit my block upright. And our legs are already in position for roll down and up, even though we're going to start incrementally. So we've got our shoulders, we've got our triceps, we've got our legs as we kegel and lightly tone inner thighs, releasing the axis of the hips. Inhale, and then exhale, and finding your timing, begin to roll back. We go to that sort of halfway point. Inhale here, and now again, it's the ribs. We exhale and connect here to bring the center of the chest and face forward. And then the rest of the action is easy. Take a breath. Exhale, roll halfway back. We still got lower abs and leg tone, so we haven't let that go at all. We're just adding here and rolling up. One more like that, and again, really all of the work should be from the navel down, mostly. Well, bottom of the ribs for sure. When you've returned from this one, taking care to activate that lower half of the torso and legs, rest your arms for a moment. So we'll continue into the full roll down and up. If you like to use weights for your arms for a little bit more shoulder work, go ahead and grab them. So rather than palms down, I like inside of the palms forward, because you'll see in my shoulders with that little bit of external rotation, it makes more space across the shoulders and also allows the weight of my arms to move toward my middle back instead of remaining up in my shoulder tops. All right, try it out. Here we go. Inhale, kegel, exhale, activate inner thighs, and as the breath rises up, you lower down. Arms reach back. Inhale, nod the head, begin to bring the arms forward and find your timing as you exhale to roll up. You can stretch all the way over if you like that. Inhale up. And again, exhale. A good stretch through the sides of the waist, nod of the head. Exhale, roll up. And so on. Please do 2 more. Good. When you've done the last one, and no reason to rush, you'll just sit for a moment, putting the weights down and relaxing. Good. Yes. All right. So let's go ahead and return to prone or belly down on the floor with the forehead resting on the hands. We'll look at hip extension here with the legs long or straight. And we'll look again, not only just at the muscles externally that do the big movement, but the muscles internally, core, that support the spine. So before you even lift the legs or do anything else, can you exhale and feel not only your Kegel and the directionality of the breath upward to the crown, but also an activation of the sides of your waist, zipping up from bottom to top. Right, and you might feel that through the obliques, but I want you to go deeper. Relax your external belly muscles. Kegel. Exhale, feel this under the surface. It has a different quality to it. And now maybe do both things. Right? We get the inside first. And then the firming outside. Prepare to extend the hips, keeping the pubic bones down on the floor. Inhale, point your toes and stretch behind your knees. And now exhale with that same chain of connection into support. Begin to lift the legs from the back of the thighs. Your pelvis is down, the back of your thighs rise up. Hold that lift, inhale, Kegel, exhale, and lower. Again, pelvis, rest of your spine stationary, stretched and supported, and on your exhale, reach long through the legs and lift them up. From the back of the hip joint, right where your bum joins the back of your thighs. Inhale and exhale to lower. Repeat one more time, please. Exhaling to stretch and lift. And then exhaling to stretch and lower. So stretch is always there. You can't get away from it. Good. Legs stay on the ground, and we'll do breaststroke prep number 3, which is an extension into hover through the upper back. Again, it's very mild. It's like the one we did with our arms down by our sides. Prepare for this. Engage into support through the lower chain of the body. And as you exhale, lift and reach through the top of your chest, activating the muscles under the bottom and between the shoulder blades. Inhale and exhale to lower. Middle back muscles softening, allowing a settling toward ground. 2 more of these. Kegel, exhale, reach and lift. Then exhale and lower. Now, before you do the last one, maybe have a round of breath on the ground, re-engaging with your intention into your core and into your external support. So redundancy is good. Make sure the position of the pelvis is correct, so pubic bones are grounded. Inhale here, and now finally exhale, lift the upper body into hover. Here's where it gets a little bit more challenging. Keep the upper body hovering, and now balancing on the front of the pelvis. Exhale, stretch the legs, and extend the hips as well. Pubic bone is down, tailbone is stretched, legs are lifting, inner thighs are connecting, toes are pointed. Pardon me. Inhale, maybe stretch and extend a little further, and then exhale and release it all down. Once you're returned to the floor, go ahead and sit back into shell. Nice work, you guys. In shell, any movements that you need to do through the upper body is fine, of course. Try to keep your hips centered, whether you're sitting on the ground or you're sitting on your heels. You can walk your hands side to side or do any of the other stretches here for the shoulders, the neck, and the head. And then eventually roll up and lie on your backs, please. We are going to return to shoulder bridge. So you want minimal or maybe no head mat at all, and a block between the knees or the ankles. Everybody's got their favorite spot. Neutral spine. Breathe in and out and exhale out the sigh. So again, feel the ground underneath you, particularly under your feet. Spine will remain neutral, and we're simply extending through the hips. Inhale in preparation. Kegel, exhale. Push the floor down with your feet and lift the hips up into the air. Your neutral posture is present through all of this hip extension. Kegel, exhale, and lower the hips, flexing at that joint. Great, repeating this 2 more times. Prepare with a breath in, Kegel. Exhale, use the ground under your feet to lift your hips up. Don't use the ground under your neck and shoulders. Well, to lift the hips anyway. Press back with the neck and the shoulders. And exhale, lower the hips as you find support under your feet. Now the third time here is also going to be a little fancier. If we're going to add arm extension or shoulder extension. If you want to use weights in your arms or in your hands, grab those, please. Inhale. With the weights in the hands and the core engaged, exhale, squeeze the block and lift the hips. Once you've got that hip extension at the top, extend the arms forward toward the ceiling. Now the game here is going to be to extend through the shoulders and not lose the height of the hips. So this time, let's exhale, feel the support for the hips as we also reach the arms back. Hold here, inhale. Now exhale, pelvic floor and inner thighs helps to stabilize, well, a lot of things. Exhale and return, but especially if you have a little hypermobility in the pelvis or the back, this is a good way to build stability. Kegel, exhale, squeeze the block, press down into your feet, and reach the arms back. You'll find that your glutes and hamstrings are working like crazy. That's okay. Inhale. Kegel, exhale, and return. Don't let that work in the back of the hips and thighs translate into tension in your low back. One more here. Prepare with a breath in. Kegel, exhale, and reach the arms. Keep your weight over your feet. Keep your hips extended into their neutral line. Kegel, exhale, and return. Arms go all the way down this time. Inhale and exhale, lower your hips. Hips on the ground, put your block off to the side and hug your knees in towards your chest. Your low back will flatten toward the ground, probably pretty naturally. Continue to support the weight of your legs with your arm strength. If your tailbone curls up a little bit, that's fine. Whatever little movement you might be doing, let that subside. And then on an exhale breath, as you hold the back of your legs, keep your imprint and guide the legs into tabletop. Squeezing your knees together. On your inhale, pull your toes up, nod your chin down. And then as you exhale, you're going to point your toes and bend your upper body forward. Inhale at the top, preparing for single leg stretch. And on your exhale, begin. Two more across the sides. When you're even across the sides, return to center and exhale, lower your head. You can hug your knees into your chest, or you can put one foot at a time down on the ground. We take just a couple rounds of breath. We are in a series here, so we're not going to take a huge break. From wherever you are, Kegel, exhale, and reinforce that imprinted position of the low spine and hips. And then holding on to the back of your legs. If your legs are hugged in, guide them into tabletop. Or if your feet are on the ground, exhale, bring one leg at a time up. Hands go behind the head this time. We're moving into full obliques. So we'll be doing our twist here through the waist. Nod the chin to the chest. Find the timing of the exhale and bend forward. Take a breath in. And now exhale, extend one leg as you twist toward the bent knee. Inhale, center, both knees in tabletop. Exhale, alternate across the sides. So to be clear, you're twisting from the waist toward the bent knee as you extend the other leg long. Inhale, return through center, and exhale, other side. 2 more across the sides. Good, you guys. When you're even through both sides, return into tabletop and exhale, lower your head. This time, please exhale, lower one foot and then the other. And then go ahead and let the knees flop off onto one side so we can sit up. And you can do a little twisty thing in between on your way up to sitting. Once you're up, I'd like you to sit on one hip, and we're gonna do side bend, which is a combination of hip lift as well as side bending. Okay. This can be done on the elbow if your wrist is not tolerating that. And if your knees are sensitive on the bony outsides, put a little blanket down. So I am lined up. Actually, if I put my blanket this way, you can see. So that my knees and my hand are on the same plane. Yeah. When I press up, my hips are also going to be on this same plane. And if you're on your elbow, you're here. Yeah, it's a side plank essentially with a side bend added in for extra fun. Inhale, lift the top arm up. And then start with the legs and the core, squeezing inner thighs and kegling. Now use the back of your hips and thighs to press hips forward and up. And once you're in your side plank, take it into a side bend. Keep the side bend. Inhale, lift up the arm. Exhale, return through side plank and sit your hips down. 3 more, please. Inhale, lift the top arm. Squeezing the thighs and kegling, find your timing. Pressing hips forward and up into side plank. And then over, you're contracting deeply through the bottom of the waist. Inhale, lift the top arm. And exhale, sit down and back. 2 more times, please. Yes. And 1 more. Now watch on this last time. As you come up, don't let that top hip kind of fall back. Press that top hip forward and bring yourself into that stack, top to bottom, through the shoulders and hips. Yeah. And sit back. Nicely done. Turn it around. We'll do the other side. Knees and hand on the same plane. You know already where you're going to take your hips. Arrange your shoulders so that they're connected to your back and your core. And on your inhale, lift the arm. Kegel, exhale. And then press the hips forward and up, stacking hips and shoulders as you stretch over the waist. Inhale, lift the arm, and then exhale, sit down. That's just a very dynamic side plank with a side bend. Inhale, lift the arm. Don't rush that timing of the breath. It matters. Get that good side stretch, and then inhale, lift the arm. And exhale, allow a crease at the hips as you lower back down, just like shoulder bridge. 2 more times, please. And last time. Connecting inside and outside through the midsection. Good. And then when you've lowered, go ahead and sit up and face my direction or face the screen. You can be on an extra height through the legs or through the hips if you like. The legs are going to be stretched and apart a little bit. We're going to finish with saw. Right, so a lot of work around the midsection that ultimately supports the shoulders, right? So this is sort of the way station for our shoulders to get to our core, the head as well. Arms are stretched out, and we've got the legs, I don't know if you can see my toes here, about the width of, I don't know, 2.5, 3 feet apart. We'll keep the pelvis neutral and inhale, turn from the waist. Back thumb turns downward and the arms stretch apart as we continue the spiral upward through the crown and reach over toward the baby toe. Inhale up and exhale, unwind. Very much like spinal rotation we did way back at the beginning. Inhale, begin the twist, and then exhale, continue the twist downward. Stack yourself up. And unwind the twist bottom to top. Top to bottom, inhale, initiate the twist. And exhale to get down and over. Inhale, roll it up. The back shoulder adjusts as you unwind the twist. Continue through second side. And 1 more full repetition in each direction. Keep the breath flowing too, so we are cooling down. You want to maintain breath and tension, but let everything slow down and deepen. When you finish the second side the last time, lower your arms, bend your knees, and just round forward over your legs. So we finish here with final breathing. Rounding forward, relaxing. Breathing into the back. And here you're going to find your own area where you need it. So it could be the low back, could be a little higher, maybe under the shoulder blades, maybe between the shoulder blades into the neck. Inhale, allow the back of the rib cage to expand, especially at the bottom edge. Lightly kegling, exhale, release the breath. Don't feel a lot of effort with it, and none at all in the neck. 2 more rounds in and out like this. And then inhale. And on this exhale, roll the spine up. Sit for a moment. You can let the knees fall apart if you like. Breathe in and out another time. See the room around you. Good work this morning, you guys. I hope you have a great Monday. Take care.